Hi, it's Romy. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Aries, this is your August 2020 tarot card reading. So it is a general reading. You might also like to check out your rising and your moon signs. If you would like to join me for the extended version of the reading, there is a link for that in the description box and in the comment section below. Really looking forward to seeing what's coming out for you this month, Aries. So let's get right to it. Okay, Aries, let's take a look at this soul story for you for the month of August. So we're into Leo energy, a fellow fire sign. And so much heart energy that we're going to be working with. Very raw, very instinctive. And the energy is really quickening a pace. So we open up with a card of the Eight of Wands, which I think is going to be so supportive to you just getting things done. And there's almost this sense of urgency because I feel something has been activated in you that is deeply inspiring. And what I picked up when I was connecting into you ahead of the reading was this idea of there being a sacred rhythm and you being able to tune into it in a way that perhaps you never have before, so that you're moving in harmony and in flow with everything around you. Now, Mars is moving direct in Aries right now, which is incredibly supportive for you, helping you to figure out the way in which you use your energy and really allowing you to direct that desire, the passion, the creativity, and to be incredibly generative with it so that you're putting it in the directions and investing it in the areas that you know you're going to see a return and that have really become a new priority for you. Fifth house energy for Leo season really shines a light on the playful aspect of your life as well. So it's also this balance of, right, okay, there is work to do here and there's an urgency to want to get started, to harness that motivation that I think is really going to be rising up within you. But there's also that need to just know when there's time for sacred rest, when you need to reconnect into the inner child. Because that's where so much of the muse is going to be activated and help inspire you in the right direction. Now, fifth house is also shining a light on those romantic areas of your life. And again, when I pick up this idea of there being a sacred rhythm, it's the way in which you want to start to move in harmony with those important connections in your life. And I think what's clear is that there's much more of a refreshing, less confusing energy that we're going to be working with this season, I think is going to really help you in regards to your relationships, particularly Aries. Now on the 3rd, 4th of August, we've got a full moon in the sign of Aquarius. It activates your 11th house of friendships, of the way that you're using technology, the way that you show up within society, socially. It is squaring Uranus, so there's a lovely kind of rebellious quality to that, but it could feel a little bit challenging. And actually this idea of challenge is really weaving its way through August as well. So be prepared. There's going to be some moments of volatility. There's going to be not necessarily everybody having the same outlook, the same vision, and many people who are struggling perhaps to communicate themselves without lacing it with a very frustrated, agitated, or impatient kind of a vibe. So the more you can really check in with your own energy field and start to use your power, your energy more wisely, you're really helping to lead by example to so many in the best way in which to use this Mars and Aries. You are the sign that can really demonstrate that to such a powerful degree. So here we have the 9 of Pentacles, and you can see she's really in a state of movement and flow right now. There is a lot of energy that's already captured even between these two cards. There's a lovely sense of accomplishment and self-reliance that's coming in with this. And I feel like it's also indicating to me that you're almost in some regards making peace with that fire energy within you. So instead of trying to suppress it, you're just letting it be wild. You're letting it run rampant and you're letting it be free, but still knowing that you are sending it off in the direction toward the things that you want to see growth and you want to see advancement. And so that fine balance is what is helping you to tap into that sacred rhythm, if you like. Now, the 5th of the month, Mercury moves into the sign of Leo as well. And all the way through the month, we've got some really sweet placements with Mercury. There's a trine later in the season with Jupiter. And what it's suggesting is that there's the opportunity for communication and news to be traveling towards you that's going to deliver some really lovely blessings, some good news and some gain. It's talking about this idea of expansion. And because it's placed in your 5th house, Aries, you could well see this playing out in terms of some of the creative ideas, the way in which you're using your muse, anything that might be happening closer to home within your family, children environment, or in the areas of romance. And so it's important, I think, that you take a moment to understand the way in which you're giving yourself permission to have that pleasure, to be playful, and to allow yourself some of the good stuff to come in. You are going to be taking advantage of the fact that the air is going to feel much clearer for you to articulate exactly what it is that you're looking for, and how you are making the choices to move something forward. It's a fantastic time at the beginning of the month to launch, to initiate, to get something moving. Now, as we move toward the end of the month, Mars is starting into its shadow period for going retrograde. So potentially a little bit of a slowing down to some of the motivation. So I would encourage you to start looking earlier, if there are really important priorities that you want to start to see some tangible results from. Now here we've got the 2 of Cups, and I really think it is you, like I said, like coming into harmony. This is a complete mirror reflection in terms of the way that the figures are depicted here. And there is this like flow, they're standing in water. The water is lit up. It looks serene. There is an inviting quality to it, but these stairs are also indicating a way forward. Now, the image of almost there being 2 halves going on here, I think is interesting, because what I pick up is I think that there's going to be almost a situation that's very yin-yang. The toss of a coin, like something changing very quickly. Right, we've got that momentum, 8 of Wands. Now the 9 of Pentacles is suggesting, once you've moved through this doorway, there's some kind of portal, there's some sort of activation, initiation. Now it might come down to a choice or a decision that you make this month, Aries, or some kind of external shift that happens. But regardless, I feel there's going to be a moment that happens this month that's going to flip the script in some way, okay? Now that's not necessarily anything that you need to be concerned or think is, going to be problematic. Far from it. I actually think it's going to be really necessary, because one, it's going to show you the way in which other people are interpreting your energy and what you have to say. That matters, because what you want is to be coming from a heart place that's full of integrity, that's full of truth, but also to understand that as we move forward, we're trying to come together in the collective towards a unity consciousness. And so there needs to be a tolerance and an understanding of where other people are at on their journey. Recognition that each and every one of us have such a unique blueprint and soul contract. We're all dealing with, different kind of ancestral DNA and energy imprints within us. And yet we're all moving toward a common purpose. And so this kind of yin-yang moment, I feel, is all of a sudden going to put you in the shoes or give you a very different outlook towards something that you're working on, something that you're saying, something that you're believing in, a cause that you're fighting for. And it's not here to try to change your mind or to try and show you where you are wrong. It's meant to be an expansion so that you can go deeper and that you can get more clarity about what it is that you're saying and what it is that you're feeling. So I actually just think it's going to be a really important kind of part of the story that's set to unfold. And like I said, helping you to stay in tune with that really beautiful sacred rhythm. Now the 2 of Cups does also suggest like a coming together, a meeting of minds, a meeting of hearts. With the 9 of Pentacles here, you might well find it's something in the arena of, your abundance, what's going on within work. It could well be a new partnership, a new collaboration, or maybe even you committing to, some area that you want to see advancement in. And I think you're just going to have a tremendous amount of energy, and there's a lot of positivity that's being directed towards that. The more that you put in, absolutely, the more that you're going to get out from that. You have this lovely window, honestly, to play with this creative fire and to see some incredible results from it. And I think the way that you're going to strive to balance all of that kind of energy with what else is being illuminated to you this season is almost like giving you this huge step up in terms of growth and self-awareness. Yeah, so Ace of Cups, again, I just feel like you are falling in love with something. You're falling in love with an aspect of yourself all over again, or perhaps for the first time. You're falling in love with someone in a whole new way. You're seeing them in a new light. You're falling in love with the idea that life can change. You're falling in love with a new passion, a new initiative. Aries loves a cause, and actually you're at your best when you're fighting for something, when you believe in something, when you're directing your energy toward advancement and toward, bettering yourself. Everybody benefits when Mars is locked into that. Aries is locked into that energy, and Mars in Aries is so supportive of it. There's an activation of all of the senses coming through with this Ace of Cups, beautiful watering of the soul almost that's coming in this season. And I think it's just going to be such a relief energy for so many of you, Aries. That's kind of what I'm picking up in terms of, what you might have been experiencing the last few weeks in the first part of 2020. Now, I think there's a deep knowing within you that, there's a lot more to come. But at the moment, I think some of you might be finding just a little bit of a reprieve energy through August as you just feel a little bit more like yourself and you have some of your mojo back a little bit, yeah? Now, Uranus is moving retrograde in the sign of Taurus on the 15th of the month, right through till the early part of January, in your second house of finance. So I think there's a lovely opportunity for you to review the way in which you are attracting money, your money story, what's going on in terms of your goals and ambitions. You might see some flux and change coming in there. What it's definitely demonstrating with the 9 and the Ace is the more passionate, the more believing, and the more enjoyable you find the work that you do, the more material gain you're going to receive as a result of that. Yeah, it's a fantastic energy with which to put yourself forward, Aries. So I think if you're looking for something new, or you want to explore something for the first time, again, that first part of August, I would just say go for it, because you're working with such powerful heart energy. Everything is coming in that very gut instinctive way, and it's almost like there will be a real impulsiveness to just want to try, to just want to experiment, to be curious. I think your heart is wide open, so I think the tendency for some of you to fall hard and deep, if you are meeting new people or there are new people coming on the scene, is quite likely. To be honest, I think if you have the opportunity to enjoy and take some pleasure and derive some fun and some play and really tap into that desire so that sexual energy activates your sacral chakra and allows even more creativity and inspiration to flow, then you know what, that's fantastic. Go for it. Enjoy it. And I think even those of you in relationships, again, this is a season where you can kind of inject a little bit more passion back into a particular connection if you feel that it has somewhat cooled, or there's been real challenges with which to navigate through the last few weeks. Okay, so right at the center of your reading, we have this energy of the star, beautiful. And I think this was in your July reading as well. And there is such a sense of healing and quietness that comes in with the star energy for me. In fact, you actually have some quite quiet, still serene energies emerging, which I love for you, because I think it's going to help to ground your energy with so much kind of combustible fire. Mars is the god of war, and it does absolutely indicate the way in which we have to deal with the emotions of anger. And so having such beautiful, loving, harmonious energies coming through is going to act as the perfect antidote. So if you are finding yourself incredibly frustrated at moments through this season, either because of the the lack of something realizing itself in a way you expected, or because of what someone else's actions or behaviors are going, like around you, regardless of how that's showing up, what we're seeing here in your reading, and I'm picking up for you, Aries, is that you're going to be able to find some peace and a moment to just really work with that energy and turn it into something more positive and favorable for you, and not get stuck, and actually not be triggered to the point when you're moving into some kind of conflict or difficult energy that's just going to lower your vibration. The star is also ruled by Aquarius, and we have this full moon in Aquarius. Now, that energy is also wanting to deliver innovative solutions. It wants to give us the ways in which we can do things better. Yeah, squaring Uranus, it's about, there is a better way. There's a way that can feel more comfortable, that is going to be more aligned with the future self and where you're heading, and it's going to let you it's going to let you work smarter, not harder. Sometimes with that, there are sacrifices that need to be made. If we're looking at a brand new approach and a different solution, then we have to let go of an old narrative, an old, sort of comfort zone, something that served us so well for so long. And it isn't to say that it was wrong, Aries. It's just to say that now you've evolved and expanded, you need to start inviting in the possibility of that there might be a way that's even more supportive to let you keep growing. So I just want you to be really open-minded about how that might show up. And again, I just want to link back to this idea of that being yin-yang, or the script being flipped, because I just think it could come in a little bit unexpected. And the more centered and prepared and ready you are to be shown by the universe a different way or a redirect, then the more able you are going to be to have a more balanced experience from this. It also shows me incredible inspiration coming through, the more that you can connect in again to this sacred rhythm that just comes through really strongly for you. Ace of Swords. Okay, I love this because it is refreshing. That's what I feel with that. I think some of you are set to have incredibly exciting, refreshing conversations with people, new people, drawing in the type of energies that are more resonant with what page you find yourself on now. Perhaps awakening to your own truth, becoming so much more conscious to the details that you're now looking at relationships, you're looking at the way in which you're showing up in the world and seeing it so differently. And I think that's so progressive for you. It's very stripped back, because I think in that there's probably going to be one or two pain points where you stop for a moment and really realize where you've been hurting yourself, where you've been doing things that just haven't been serving you that well. I think you need to be a little bit careful just of, again, some of the words that you might choose to express at certain moments. And it's not because I think they're not truthful and they're not honest and they're not absolutely needed. The reason I say it is because I think there's going to be some people around you, Aries, that are just not where you are quite yet. And it hasn't quite landed for them. And they're still processing and working through some stuff. And, there could be a tendency for you to just be like, well, how can you not see it? How are you not aware of this? And even perhaps if you're trying to show or to demonstrate to somebody what their behavior is like, or what you're seeing or observing in the connection, in the pattern. And I see you being really kind of accountable with yourself as well. So it's not like I have you kind of, trying to be, the one that's provoking. But I just think you might well find situations where people are just not ready to hear or ready to listen quite yet. And so there's an invitation in that instance to kind of return back to yourself. You know, there's an independence here going on with the figure in the Nine of Pentacles and the figure in the Star. You know, you are gonna come into synergy, into harmony with who you need to, or whatever energy is perhaps feeling a little bit disconnected. But the way in which we do that is by coming back into the stillness. Now you've got two aces flanking this star energy. So the opportunity to direct yourself into a new pathway and for that to feel really hopeful and healing for you is absolutely demonstrated in this month. And I think that you should be embracing that wholeheartedly and trying to keep the peace within yourself, so that you're working with that fire energy in a really controlled way. And here we've got the card of the Emperor. I love to see this coming up in your reading, Aries. It links into your sign and of course to Mars. But what he's doing is bringing some grounded energy. I feel there's some structure, there's some discipline, and there's some order, and that's needed so that you're not using that wildfire and kind of trying to just do too much and sort of spreading yourself too thin or burning out. I think there's a real tendency sometimes when you're, you know, if you've not been feeling quite right or yourself for quite some time and all of a sudden you get that burst of you know, sort of rejuvenation, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is what it feels like to be back in my own essence again. And then there can be a tendency to sort of run before you can walk and just want to fix everything all at once or to do everything. And the Emperor comes forth with this wisdom that says, hey, just slow down for a second. You know, what we're trying to do here is to take the potential, remember, the aces represent potential, and then direct all that energy from the Eight of Wands, all that fire energy, and make sure that we're creating a strategy for ourselves that is going to give us longevity. It's going to ground us in such a way that we're going to start to move, to think, to express, to speak, to receive in ways that are much more harmonious. And, you know, he's been round the block, the Emperor, you know, this is coming from many years of experience. And so you might find, Aries, that someone is stepping forth to give you that kind of mentorship or insight, or that there is just this part of yourself connected into spirit, to your higher being, that is trying to kind of quieten and just pull the reins back a little bit in some areas and just say, okay, I know that you are eager, I know that you have excitement or some, you know, real inspired urgency towards just getting this all done at once. But let's just make sure we're doing it the right way and that we've evaluated all of the approaches. And remember, that's what's going to show up in that full moon energy at the beginning of the month. And so with all of the solutions, all of the cards on the table, you can then really figure out what the best way forward is for you. And the Emperor's going to bring that energy and that power to you. So you're going to find yourself being able to make immense movement forward. There's tremendous progression that I see coming from his energy for you. And, you know, really the combination of both the Emperor and the Star is quite beautiful, you know, because you've got that, like we said, the sacred rhythm, the celestial, divine energy that's guiding you, and then a more practical, earthly realization of how to manifest this into the tangible, you know, earth reality that surrounds you. So if you're open to it and you're conscious and awakened, you're going to find that balance. It's going to be really beautiful. Okay, so Five of Swords, I think, is the reminder of all of the reasons that you need to be open to how things can change. Okay, you need to be open to how things can change. This skeletal showing where perhaps you've taken something so far and you've literally, I I don't know, it's just like everything's been picked away. It's completely like there's nothing left. There's nothing left to a certain situation to be gone over, okay? So where we connect this particularly into your thought forms, okay, because swords are always representative of what's going on within our intellectual mindset. And I think that there's probably some area that you have found yourself tirelessly repeating or thinking about or trying to figure out. And most likely it's attached to a disappointment, a setback, a perceived failure, or just a toxic pattern that's just constantly reactivated for you every time you feel like you're making a step forward. And so in this instance, it's wholly necessary that this shows up for us. And the reason that I say that is because how can we possibly understand what a new pathway represents, what the potential and the hope of different kinds of solutions, of what different connections are like, of what we need to do to change in order to embrace all of the new energies that are coming our way, if we can't give it some frame of reference. So that's really what I want to say to you. This card is about you understanding the frame of reference of those energies that have been activated and where they have held you back, where they've held you back. Now, it may well be that there's some disappointment about a particular approach, or perhaps even someone who's coming forth with quite a dominant, quite an aggressive energy. So that could be something else that maybe some of you are going to be experiencing. So do drop me a comment, let me know how that plays out for you, Aries. On the whole, I see the embodiment of that Emperor being incredibly helpful for you, but maybe a little bit of tough love as well. Somebody calling you out, or even you calling yourself out and saying, okay, enough already. I need to just really put this to peace. I need to put this to bed. There's no point in staying here and wallowing in this energy anymore. It's not serving me. And you have the star energy like almost dropping down this beautiful healing into whatever this situation is. So rest assured that, whatever is activated or you're still having to deal with this month, Aries, you are receiving some really divine support, some angelic energy to come in and almost help you to close out and to find some closure in some area or another. Like we said though, there's some truth that needs to come to the surface for that. So the card of the Hermit links into the sign of Virgo. Again, this could be someone that is important, an energy that you're working with. But what I'm really seeing with this is as we move into Virgo season, and that's going to be from the 22nd of this month, you're shifting your attention a little bit towards the way in which you're taking care of yourself and all of the structures that you're putting in place in order to start to build upon all of the passion, the ideas, the creativity that's flowed through Leo season. So actually the Emperor and the Hermit can work incredibly well together because it's about putting that structure in place and you just taking some time out to make sure that you get it right. Now the Hermit can bring up that sense of isolation, but actually what I'm really feeling with you is the divinity from it. It's more about you wanting to connect and just needing some space to figure out what different things mean to you. And again, because we have this in connection to the sort of the synergy, the balance, the devotion, the coming together with someone or something, some kind of opportunity for a new beginning, but there's going to be some assessment and some need to figure out if that's what feels right for you. Okay. We can see here that there's another doorway and it's already been shown in the 9 of Pentacles here as well. And so I think there's a connection that's going on here. Now, that Virgo energy is really about getting the work done. It wants us to look at the details. So again, if this is work related for you, in order to realize the material gain, and remember we talked about some of the bounty and the expansion that's going to come in later in the month with some of the sweet trines and the placements that are showing up, and that beautiful new moon in Leo, by the way, on the 19th. Great time to really work with that energy. So I see this as about you just being really conscious and aware of the details, like everything that needs to be put into place. And I actually think that's going to be really helpful as well, because when we move into Mars retrograde, what you're going to find is a bit of a slowing down of the energy, the momentum, people's kind of motivation. So if you can harness the time in the first part of the month to make sure everything's done, and you're disciplined with that, you know, Emperor's absolutely going to give you discipline, you know, to make sure that you are not missing a single detail, you know. And that time might require you to just have some space to take yourself out of, you know, a situation, and to just be a little bit independent as you make sure that none of this energy is coming with you, you know. There's a clearing out of that, because we're walking through a doorway here. We're stepping forth into something, and when you do, there's such a sense of freedom that's coming with it, Aries. Such a sense of freedom. You know, so this for me is a beautiful reading that is inviting you to tap into this rhythm. It's bringing love, it's bringing desire, it's bringing healing energy. It's definitely bringing some discipline and some focus, and it wants to teach you. You know, your Hermit card is your mentor. It wants to come in and teach you how to work with that fire energy. And to give you the stamina and the strength, you know, that's where the Emperor's coming in, stamina and strength, in order to really capitalize on all of the potential that's going to start to show up for you, so that you can direct it forward. So let's take a look and see how these oracle cards are reflecting your main reading. Okay, Buffalo Spirit, the abundant universe will provide. Again, even just looking at the stance of this buffalo, it looks focused, direct. It's got its war paint on, completely protected, you know, with the horns, and just with its sheer size and magnitude. And there's something about, I feel at times, you almost amping up your energy, boosting your aura, you know, to have that sense of gravitas when you need it most. But also stepping into this wonderful surrender and knowing that everything is playing out in its divine order. So when you're in that rhythm, things are going to start to come to you much more easily. You're going to recognize the gain, and it's going to feel effortless. You know, there's an effortless quality that I see showing up. You know, the Nine of Pentacles is showing you that there's so much of investment of what you've already put into place is going to start to come into harvest. Peaks of joy, beautiful. In fact, her stance here looks very similar to the way it's been depicted in the Nine of Pentacles. I think this is it looks like a butterfly. So there's an element of transformational energy coming in here. Again, a reminder of this tapping into giving yourself pleasure, understanding how you invite in that sense of play, that sense of joy. Riding high on something, again, like blue sky thinking, like real visions coming forth about what comes next and how you can take things forward. 33, bringing in that very creative energy again. Mars and Aries, Leo season, so much creativity to play with. So the way in which you want to use that is absolutely down to you, but used wisely, I think you can achieve an awful lot. Grand Cross Provoker. Well, like we said, there are some very volatile, highly strung, and quite confrontational energies that are going to play out this season, and you get to choose whether you're right in the thick of it, or whether you're learning and using this time as self-mastery, and deciding to stay on the sidelines and not get involved, and to actually transmute any kind of anger or frustration that's coming your way and redirecting it into your heart space, into your passion, into making sure that you're working toward what you find is the most important cause and priority. So I hope this has given you a little bit of insight into the month ahead, Aries. This is a general reading, and if it's resonated, please do drop me a like and a comment. I'm going to go ahead now and pull us some cards for the extended reading. So we'll talk for another 20 minutes or so with that, and I'd invite you to just think about a question right now that I have not possibly answered in this general reading, and we'll pull a couple of cards and explore that in more detail with the extended. You can find the link for that in the description and the comment section underneath the video. And I really appreciate you if you're joining me. That does help to support my channel and the work that I do. Okay, let's take a look at this Eight of Wands now. Okay, so 10 of Cups energy coming in. Another Eight of Wands, right. Beautiful energies to work with here. Six of Swords with the Nine of Pentacles. There is a movement and a flow and a journeying that's taking place really strongly, and I think it's fast. Yeah, Three of Swords. Of course, I think there is something that needs to be healed that's coming up to the surface, but very clarifying for you. Queen of Swords. Perhaps it's linked into an air sign, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Card of Death also links into Scorpio. Okay, so Two of Cups coming through with the Queen of Coins. I just think you're going to be able to get so much done this season, Aries, with that focus. Seven of Swords. I think the flip side of that is that we're working with perhaps where you might be trying to sabotage yourself and making sure that you don't take on too much. Like we said, being disciplined in your approach is going to be really important. Okay, Ace of Cups coming through with the Page of Swords. Really sweet messages and communication making their way towards you, actually. Eight of Cups and the Star. I mean, this is about something that you're having to leave behind here. She looks very serene with it though, you know. I think you're making peace with something, and that's going to make the difference. Right, another ace coming in the center of your spread. Really important to see how this is playing out for you. And the Star again, how beautiful. Okay. Wheel of Fortune, linking into that lovely trine with Jupiter. I feel unexpected blessings and opportunities are coming, especially for material gain with that King of Coins coming in. Could also be an earth sign, a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn that's going to be significant in some way. There is some stress and agitation and kind of anxiety that's sort of popping up here with some of these clarifying cards, but I think, you know, it's because of the provocation and the challenge energy that's going to be permeating through this month. I don't see it stopping you, but again, this reflection back to something from the past could trip you up. So you're just going to have to be really mindful of that, because that's what will drop you out of that sacred rhythm. You'll find your way back into it again, Ace of Swords, by constantly like being honest with yourself. Yeah, the more honest you can be with yourself, the more forward momentum and movement and willpower, determination you're going to have. Okay, Aries. I look forward to connecting with you for the extended if you're joining me. Otherwise, I'm going to wish you bright blessings for this month. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Take good care. Bye for now.